The crimson liquid splashed across Vincent Drake's only decent dress, shirt like blood from a cinematic wound, shocking everyone into silence as the orchestra's final note hung in the air. He froze, watching the $5,000 a plate charity gala dissolve into a tableau of horrified onlookers and one mortified tech heiress. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," Catherine Aldridge exclaimed, her emerald evening gown shimmering under the chandelier light as she frantically reached for cocktail napkins. The wine glass, now empty, dangled from her manicured fingers. Vincent, a 32-year-old single father who'd only secured entry to this highbrow event through his job as a substitute pianist for the regular performer who'd fallen ill, forced a smile. "It's fine," he lied, knowing it wasn't fine at all. The shirt had cost him nearly a week's groceries, purchased specifically for opportunities like this rare chances to network with wealthy potential clients for his struggling piano lessons business. "It is absolutely not fine," Catherine insisted, dabbing ineffectively at his chest while the Silicon Valley elite around them resumed their conversations, already dismissing the incident. "That's a Cabernet from my own vineyard, and I know from experience it stains like vengeance itself." Vincent caught her hand gently, stopping her fussing. "Really, Miss Aldridge, I recognize you from the tech magazines. I'm just the fill-in pianist tonight. Please enjoy your evening." Catherine Aldridge, 34-year-old founder of Aldridge Technologies with a personal worth north of $600 million, wasn't accustomed to being dismissed, especially not by handsome men with calloused fingertips and kind eyes that crinkled slightly at the corners. "At least let me pay for dry cleaning." "Dad," a small voice called out as a 9-year-old girl in a modest but carefully pressed dress wove through the forest of evening gowns. "Dad, Mr. Reinhardt says I can't stay in the practice room anymore because some lady needs it for a phone call." Vincent's professional demeanor softened instantly as he placed a hand on his daughter's shoulder. "Lily, this is Miss Aldridge. We had a small accident." Lily's eyes widened as she took in the wine stain. "Dad, that's your good shirt." The concern in her voice made Catherine's heart twist unexpectedly. "Miss Aldridge has her own vineyard," Vincent explained to his daughter with a smile that transformed his face. "So this is basically a professional wine tasting gone slightly wrong." Catherine found herself charmed by the gentle way he handled the situation, protecting his daughter from worry. Most men of her acquaintance would have been demanding compensation or making a scene. "I love your dress," Lily said to Catherine with disarming directness. "You look like a mermaid." Catherine smiled genuinely for the first time that evening. "Thank you. I love your dress too, and your dad's music was beautiful." "He's the best pianist ever," Lily said with absolute conviction. "He teaches lessons, but not enough people know how good he is yet." Vincent's cheeks colored slightly. "Lily, Miss Aldridge doesn't need to hear about my struggling business ventures." "Actually," Catherine said, reaching into her clutch and extracting an embossed business card, "I do. I've been looking for a piano teacher. My new house has a grand piano that's gathering dust." The words surprised her as they left her mouth. She hadn't been looking for lessons at all, but something about Vincent's dignity in the face of embarrassment and clear devotion to his daughter compelled her. Vincent hesitated before accepting the card, his pride visibly warring with practicality. "I don't need charity, Miss Aldridge. It's Catherine, and it's not charity if I'm getting something valuable in return," she countered smoothly, years of business negotiations serving her well. "Call me Monday to set up a time. Bring Lily if you need to," she nodded toward the girl. "I have plenty of ice cream and a pool." "A pool?" Lily's eyes lit up, and Vincent's resolve visibly weakened. "I should get back to the piano," he said finally. "They're only giving me a short break." "Monday," Catherine reminded him, surprised by how much she wanted him to call. "And I really am sorry about the shirt." As Vincent returned to the piano, Catherine found herself lingering to watch him play. His talent was evident in every note, his passion visible in the way his body moved with the music. She wondered how someone so gifted was struggling to make ends meet while she had more money than she could spend in 3 lifetimes. Her friend and business partner, Natalie, sidled up beside her. "Checking out the help, Kat? Not your usual type," Catherine frowned. "He's talented, and I ruined his shirt. And he has those soulful eyes and that whole struggling artist single dad vibe going on. Very Hallmark movie." Natalie sipped her champagne knowingly. "Don't be ridiculous." "I'm just feeling guilty about the wine." But as Vincent's fingers coaxed a particularly moving passage from the piano, Catherine couldn't deny there was something about him that had captured her interest beyond simple guilt. Monday arrived, and Vincent stared at Catherine's business card for the 10th time that morning. The elegant font listed her direct number, not an assistant or service. Calling felt like admitting defeat somehow, like he was taking advantage of a wealthy woman's guilt. But Lily's school needed new textbooks, and his landlord had hinted at another rent increase, and his student roster had 3 cancellations last week. "Just call her, Dad," Lily said, peering over her cereal bowl. "You said we need the money," Vincent sighed. "It's not that simple, sweetheart." "Why? Because she's super rich and pretty?" Lily asked with 9-year-old directness. "Because." Vincent struggled to articulate his reservations in a way his daughter would understand. "Sometimes people offer things because they feel sorry for you, not because they really want what you're offering." Lily considered this, spoon halfway to her mouth. "Maybe, or maybe she really wants piano lessons and you're being stubborn because you're embarrassed about your shirt." Vincent couldn't help laughing. "When did you get so wise? Miss Peterson says I'm an old soul," Lily replied, naming her 3rd-grade teacher. "Also, I want to see that pool." So Vincent called, and to his surprise, Catherine answered herself on the 2nd ring, sounding genuinely pleased to hear from him. "I was beginning to think you weren't going to call," she said. "Can you come tomorrow, say 4 o'clock?" Vincent agreed. Jotting down the address, she provided an exclusive address in the hills that made his stomach tighten with apprehension. The following day, he pulled his 12-year-old Honda into a circular driveway that probably cost more than his entire apartment building. Lily pressed her face against the window, eyes wide at the sprawling modern mansion with its floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist landscaping. "Dad," she whispered, as if Catherine might hear them from inside, "I think she's richer than my whole school combined." "Probably," Vincent admitted, smoothing his hair nervously. "Remember your manners, okay? No questions about how much things cost." Catherine opened the door herself, dressed in casual designer jeans and a simple white blouse that probably cost more than Vincent's monthly rent. Her smile was warm and genuine as she welcomed them inside. "I'm so glad you came," she said, leading them through a soaring entryway into a living space where a gleaming black grand piano commanded attention near windows overlooking the Pacific. "I wasn't sure you would." "I'm a man of my word," Vincent replied, unable to keep from gravitating toward the piano. "This is a Steinway Model D. I've only played one of these once before." "Is that good?" Catherine asked, and the genuine question, free of any pretense, made him smile. "It's like asking if a Ferrari is a good car," he explained, running his fingers reverently over the keys without pressing them. "It's one of the finest instruments in the world." "Then I'm glad it will finally get played properly," Catherine said, watching his obvious appreciation with satisfaction. "It came with the house. The previous owner was a classical music patron." "Can I swim while Dad plays?" Lily asked, bouncing slightly on her toes, breaking the moment. Catherine laughed. "Of course. I have some swimsuits. You can borrow. My nieces leave them here all the time." As Lily followed Catherine's housekeeper to change, Vincent found himself alone with Catherine, suddenly aware of how out of place he felt in his department store clothes surrounded by obvious wealth. "I should warn you," he said, sitting at the bench. "I'm not used to teaching adults." "Most of my students are children." Catherine settled onto a nearby sofa. "I should warn you that I have absolutely no musical talent whatsoever. My mother forced me into lessons as a child, and I was dreadful, but I've always regretted not trying harder. Her honesty disarmed him. Everyone has musical potential. It's just a matter of finding the right approach. He began with the basics, showing her proper hand position, explaining notes and simple theory. She was attentive, focused in a way that spoke of the same determination that had likely built her business empire. When her fingers fumbled over a simple scale, she laughed at herself without embarrassment. "I told you I was hopeless." "Not hopeless," Vincent corrected gently, his teacher's instincts taking over. "Just beginning, try again." The hour passed quickly. Through the windows, Vincent could see Lily happily swimming under the watchful eye of the housekeeper. She looked so carefree, so much like the child she was supposed to be instead of the too serious girl who worried about bills and overheard his late-night phone calls with creditors. "She's a wonderful swimmer," Catherine commented, following his gaze. "How long have you been a single dad?" Vincent tensed slightly. 5 years. Her mother decided parenthood and marriage weren't for her when Lily was 4. Catherine nodded, not pushing for more details. "You've done an amazing job with her. She's delightful." "She's everything," Vincent said simply. As they finished the lesson, Catherine handed him an envelope. Same time next week, Vincent opened it to find significantly more cash than his standard hourly rate. "This is too much." "It's my standard rate for private expertise," Catherine countered smoothly. "I pay my executive coach the same." He wanted to argue but saw the determination in her eyes and thought of Lily's school needs. "Thank you," he said finally. "Next week, then." What began as a weekly lesson soon became twice weekly, then added a weekend session. Catherine proved to be a dedicated, if somewhat unnatural student, while Vincent found himself increasingly looking forward to their time together. She was nothing like he'd expected a tech billionaire to be. She was funny, self-deprecating, and genuinely interested in his thoughts on everything from music to literature. For her part, Catherine discovered that teaching Lily to dive and hosting impromptu pizza, making contests in her seldom-used kitchen brought her more joy than most of her business achievements. Vincent fascinated her with his unwavering principles and the gentle but firm way he approached both parenting and teaching. One evening, after Lily had fallen asleep on Catherine's plush sofa following an animated Disney movie debate, Vincent found himself sharing a glass of wine carefully on the terrace with Catherine. "Why piano?" she asked, genuinely curious. "You're brilliant enough to do anything." Vincent smiled, looking out over the twinkling city lights. "Music was always my sanctuary. My father worked construction, my mother cleaned houses. They saved for years to buy me a second-hand upright." His expression softened at the memory. "When I play, I feel connected to something larger than myself. I wanted to share that with others." "That's beautiful," Catherine said softly. "What about you?" "Tech empire before 40 isn't exactly the common career path." Catherine laughed. "I was the awkward girl who took apart computers instead of playing with dolls. I built Aldridge Technologies because I saw problems I could solve. The money was secondary." She swirled her wine thoughtfully. "But sometimes I wonder if I've missed out on the important parts of life." Vincent studied her, seeing past the designer clothes to the woman beneath. "Like what?" "Family, connections that aren't about business or advantage." She gestured toward sleeping Lily. "What you have with her, that's real success." The evening ended with a moment of tension as their hands brushed, while clearing glasses, a spark of awareness neither was quite ready to acknowledge. As spring turned to summer, Catherine found increasingly creative reasons to include Vincent and Lily in her life. Symphony tickets where she happened to have an extra seat. A boat trip where she really needed Vincent's steady presence to help navigate. A charity function where she claimed a musical consultant was absolutely essential. Vincent wasn't naive. He recognized Catherine's growing interest matched his own, but the chasm between their worlds felt unbridgeable. She lived in a sphere of private jets and corporate acquisitions. He budgeted carefully for Lily's school supplies and had finally paid off his student loans just last year. The situation came to a head when Catherine invited them to join her at her vineyard in Napa for a weekend. "Just as friends," she assured him when she sensed his hesitation. "There's a music festival nearby that Lily would love. And you could meet my vineyard manager. He's looking for piano lessons for his kids." Vincent agreed, but the weekend proved to be a turning point. Watching Catherine laugh in the sunshine as she helped Lily collect interesting rocks near the property's stream, Vincent realized he was falling in love with her genuine warmth, her brilliant mind, her unexpected vulnerability. That evening, after Lily was asleep in one of the guest rooms, Vincent and Catherine sat on the vineyard's terrace, the same vineyard that had produced the wine that first connected them. "I should thank you," Vincent said quietly. "For what?" "The clients you've referred have doubled my teaching business. Lily's school is covered for next year. I can finally breathe financially for the first time in years." Catherine smiled, pleased. "You did that yourself. You're an incredible teacher. I just made a few introductions." Vincent shook his head. "We both know those introductions came with your implicit recommendation. In your world, that's currency." "Is that how you see me, as a walking bank account?" There was hurt in her voice. "No," Vincent said quickly. "That's not what I meant at all. I'm trying to thank you for using your influence to help us, not because you had to, but because you're genuinely kind." Catherine moved closer to him on the terrace bench. "I didn't do it out of kindness, Vincent. I did it because I care about you, about Lily. Because somehow you two have become the best part of my week." The confession hung between them, heavy with implication. "Catherine," Vincent began carefully, "our worlds are so different." "Don't," she interrupted. "Don't say we're too different. I've heard that my entire life. Too smart for the boys, too ambitious for dating, too wealthy now for real connections." Her green eyes blazed in the vineyard's landscape lighting. "I'm just Catherine when I'm with you, not the Aldridge Technologies CEO or the woman on the Forbes list." Vincent took her hand, his calloused fingers brushing against her softer skin. "And that's exactly who I'm falling in love with. Just Catherine." The kiss that followed was tentative at first, then deepened with months of suppressed feelings. When they finally parted, Catherine's eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I've been fighting this for months." "Me too," Vincent admitted. "I kept telling myself you were just being kind, that someone like you couldn't possibly be interested in a struggling piano teacher with a child." "Someone like me would be lucky to have someone like you," Catherine corrected him firmly. "You're talented, principled, and the best father I've ever seen." That night changed everything, though they agreed to move slowly, especially around Lily. But the 9-year-old proved more perceptive than either gave her credit for. "Are you and Catherine boyfriend and girlfriend now?" she asked Vincent over breakfast the next morning, causing him to choke on his coffee. "What makes you ask that?" he hedged. Lily rolled her eyes with magnificent preteen drama. "Dad, I have eyes. You look at her like Prince Charming looks at Cinderella." Vincent set down his mug. "Would that bother you, if Catherine and I were, more than friends?" Lily considered the question with appropriate seriousness. "Only if you stopped letting me swim in her pool." Then, more soberly, "Does she make you happy, Dad? You smile more when she's around." Vincent's throat tightened with emotion. "She does make me happy, but you're still the most important person in my life. Always." "I know that," Lily said with absolute certainty. "And I like Catherine. She doesn't treat me like a little kid. Plus, she has good taste in ice cream." The relationship progressed cautiously but steadily over the following months. Catherine found herself learning about school projects and helping with homework. Vincent discovered the complexities of dating someone whose name occasionally appeared in business news. There were adjustments, Catherine learning that last-minute cancellations hit Vincent's income hard. Vincent accepting that sometimes Catherine's work emergencies truly couldn't wait. Their first major challenge came when photos of them appeared on a gossip website with the headline, "Tech Billionaire's Charity Case, Aldridge Dating Struggling Musician." The article speculated crudely about their relationship's power dynamics. Vincent was devastated. "This is exactly what I was afraid of," he said, pacing Catherine's living room after Lily was in bed. "They're making me sound like I'm using you." Catherine remained remarkably calm. "Vincent, I've been in the public eye for years. This is nothing. Tomorrow they'll find some actor's wardrobe malfunction to focus on. But what if Lily sees it? Or her friend's parents? They already whisper about my financial situation." Catherine took his hands, stopping his pacing. "Then we control the narrative. We attend the Aldridge Foundation Gala next month together, openly. No hiding. We show that we're partners, equals in the ways that matter." The solution wasn't perfect, but Vincent recognized the wisdom in facing scrutiny directly rather than feeding it with secrecy. The night of the gala arrived, and Vincent found himself back in the world where he'd first met Catherine, but this time, not as hired entertainment. In a new suit she'd insisted on buying him. "Consider it investment in our shared public image," she'd argued when he balked at the price. He stood beside her as she introduced him not as her piano teacher, but simply as Vincent Drake, the man I love. Lily stayed with Vincent's parents, who had come to adore Catherine almost as quickly as their granddaughter had. The evening progressed smoothly until Vincent overheard a conversation not meant for his ears, Catherine defending him to a business associate who'd implied she could do better. "Vincent has more integrity in his little finger than most people in this room have in their entire bodies," she said fiercely. "He built his business from nothing, raises his daughter with compassion and strength, and has never once asked me for anything beyond my time and affection. If you can't see his value, that's your loss." Later, when they danced beneath the same chandelier where wine had once spilled, Vincent pulled her closer. "I heard what you said to Preston Hughes earlier." Catherine looked slightly embarrassed. "You weren't supposed to hear that." "I'm glad I did." Vincent's voice was thick with emotion. "No one has ever defended me like that." "Get used to it," Catherine replied, her eyes holding his. "I plan to be defending you for a very long time." 6 months later, as autumn painted the vineyard in golds and reds, Vincent proposed to Catherine among the vines that had produced the fateful wine. Lily helped him plan it, insisting on being present for the big moment. "Catherine," Vincent said, his voice steady despite his racing heart, "you came into our lives by accident literally, but staying with us has been your choice, and it's been the greatest gift. You've shown me that love doesn't see tax brackets or social divisions. You've embraced not just me, but my daughter and the life we come with." Catherine's eyes filled with tears as he continued, "I don't have a technological empire to offer you, but I promise to fill your life with music, to support your dreams as fiercely as you've supported mine, and to love you completely for as long as I live." He knelt, opening a small box containing a ring far more modest than what she could afford, but one he'd saved for months to buy. "Will you marry me? Say yes?" Lily burst out, unable to contain herself any longer. "I already practiced being flower girl." Catherine laughed through her tears, looking from father to daughter, this unexpected family that had captured her heart. "Yes," she said, her voice breaking with joy. "Yes to both of you." They married the following spring in an intimate ceremony at the vineyard. Catherine's business empire continued to thrive, while Vincent's music school, now properly funded and housed in a renovated historical building, became one of the most respected in California. They eventually welcomed a baby boy who had Catherine's eyes and Vincent's musical inclinations. 5 years after the wine spilling incident, at another charity gala, Catherine found herself watching Vincent at the piano not as hired entertainment this time, but as the evening's honored performer, showcasing the musical education program they'd founded together for underprivileged children. "Quite an upgrade from when you first met him," commented Natalie, now both Catherine's business partner and friend. Catherine smiled, her eyes on Vincent as his fingers coaxed beauty from the keys. "I think you're confused," she said softly. "I'm the one who got the upgrade." I had money and success, but he taught me what true richness looks like. Across the room, Vincent caught her eye and smiled that same warm smile that had first shone through his wine-stained shirt years ago. Beside her, 12-year-old Lily, growing into a remarkable young woman with both her father's talent and her stepmother's confidence, slipped her hand into Catherine's. "He's still the best pianist ever," Lily declared loyally. "But I think you're tied for best mom ever with Grandma." Catherine squeezed her hand, heart full. All her technological innovations and business triumphs paled in comparison to this, the family she'd found, when she wasn't even looking. The love that had begun with a spilled glass of wine and built into something far more valuable than any fortune she could ever amass. When Vincent joined them later, sliding an arm around Catherine's waist and dropping a kiss on Lily's head, Catherine realized that sometimes the most valuable things in life come disguised as mishaps, that love finds you in the most unexpected moments, and that the heart recognizes its match regardless of bank accounts or backgrounds. What had begun with embarrassment and a ruined shirt had blossomed into the kind of love story that couldn't be bought, only lived, one precious day at a time.